Hey peeps, Tyler here, with something I said I would talk about, and I'm going to. Where I mentioned I had psychotic episode before I had surgery on August 13th. The surgery I've needed for a long time. I have some previous videos about it. It was a hernia repair where I have a colostomy as well as a hysterectomy. I'm a trans man if you're new here. And so it was a very intense surgery. But before that, I had a psychotic episode, my only one. Scary as fuck. And since the past few months, apparently it's started somewhere in late June or early July. Apparently, I was thinking it was more like a few weeks. It was more like almost 2 months. Apparently, um, it actually went through while I was still in the hospital. Sort of. The psychotic episode ended, I would say, before that, but that's complicated. This is not going to make much sense because I don't have notes. I have a few words here because I was writing stuff down as everything was happening because I write shit down to remember it. But that's not even half the story. And there's a lot of pieces that I have amnesia because I was just blacked out. This probably is not going to make much sense. But yeah, I don't expect anybody to believe me. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I know what happened to me. I was possessed. I don't believe in demons. I'll get to that. I was possessed. I almost died several times. Then I was saved by the grace of God. Really. And by possessed, and by not believing in demons, I mean I was eventually ended up. Yeah, I was saved by the grace of God. This is not going to be able to be linear. That's annoying as hell. As fuck. No, this is hell. We're in hell. But, by that it does mean earth. That's metaphorical. But, I don't know what exactly I was saying, so you're gonna have to bear with me. If you actually want to bear with me. Oh, I was. Because I forget my trains of thoughts a lot. I've been told, by God, downloads, not actually speaking through me like I thought when I was psychotic, or, not audibly hearing, but, what people call downloads and whatnot, that, one, I do know my most previous life. I'm not going to give too much information about that, simply because it's personal, but because I do believe in reincarnation. So apparently my past life, there was somebody who really hated me. I'm gonna leave it at that. Actually, no, apparently not. They murdered me in my past life. Which is actually why I have some of my medical issues, which, if you don't know about, I have Factoral Association, which I have a playlist for somewhere. I may or may not remember to link it. But it's called Vactrals. I think it may or may not have an S on it, because they keep adding letters. It used to just be Vater Syndrome, and it's an acronym, but yeah. I have a playlist for Vactral Association if you want to know my medical issues. It turns out some of that's related to how I died in my last life. That's not how every medical issue works. Or even, not even all of mine, but a few of them. Because there were a few bullets. But, yeah, apparently that soul, where I also reincarnated into Tyler as I am now, also reincarnated into I don't know what their name was. In our past life, it was a he, so I'm just going to keep saying he, but in this life, apparently, he was a she. But if I keep going back and forth between he and she, I'm going to get confused. So I'm just going to keep saying he. And it'll get very confusing. But I moved into this house in early of 2021. And shortly after, my spouse passed away. Which is kind of irrelevant. But to say it was a really hard time is an understatement. But 2021 was the worst year of my life. Apparently the soul was already here. Apparently, they died somewhere and came back to the house, from my understanding, because they grew up here. And apparently I guess it was just destined for all this to happen. I'm okay now, it's just really hard to talk about, and I'm also, like, really scared for multiple reasons to talk about this. But I feel like I have to. So there's that. Oh, and by the way, my mom lives with me. Because after my spouse passed away, I'm very disabled. I can't live alone. I don't need, like, 24/7's attention, but I do need some help. My mom's also disabled, but we help each other. It's my house, but she lives with me. So anyway, and I'm usually in this room by myself, though, which is why I have, like, no witnesses to any of this. So either believe me or you don't. And also, like I said, parts of it I don't remember, because parts of it, there's just time that's just lost entirely. So, what I did during those times, I have no idea. One of the first things that I believe happened... Oh, and by the way, this whole time, for months, even before it started, I was, like, going through doctor's appointments and worried as fuck about this upcoming surgery and tried to get it, and it was delayed more than once. And I got so anxious... This is very relevant, by the way. I got so freaking anxious that I could not stop smoking weed. Or cannabis. I just could not stop. And I have nothing against using cannabis. Still going to use it. In fact, that's actually an important part of the story. Weirdly enough. But, it turns out the cannabis somehow helped God, like, save me or something. That does not sound right. But anyway, I was getting very anxious and I was using a lot of cannabis. Because apparently God knew what was going to happen, because apparently it was all planned, and I have to read this book on cannabis and spirituality, because I don't fully understand that right now. But anyway, so apparently the cannabis helped, but also was part of how I was able to be possessed, but along with the mental health issues, like I've dealt with anxiety, depression, PTSD, CPTSD as well, dysphoria, because I'm a trans man. Am I forgetting something? No, autism and ADHD. So that's a lot of brain things. And apparently all the brain things, and I was also, like, spiritually seeking, like, trying to find the truth. Because I was an atheist for a short time as a teenager. I was raised Christian. I've been, like, Wiccan. Now I'm just, like, spiritual/pagan. Those are the only words I will use at the moment. I'm not going to get more specific because I think that's just pointless. But that's me. Anybody is welcome here as long as you're, a nice person. I don't give a rat's ass what you believe in as long as you're a good person. That's it. Or what you don't believe in. And yeah, I'm definitely going all over the place here. So anyway, whatever day it exactly happened, I was in this chair, sitting in this chair, I'm filming this on my tablet, and right behind it is my computer screen. It's actually sitting on the bottom of the computer screen and leaning against it. This room, I don't know how many feet it is, but I have a whole ass table. And then several feet past that is my bookshelves. And I don't know the dimensions of the room. But I was in this chair. And all I remember is bam, bam, bam. 3 things. And by that I mean 3 different places. I was in this chair, sitting in front of my computer, like I currently am, which is just, behind you. Suddenly on the other side of the room in my chair, just suddenly back here on the floor without my fucking chair. And it felt like I was hit by a truck and got the flu at the same time. It hurt so badly I can't describe it. And I don't remember flying through the air, but I had to have done that. It was like, bam, 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 1, 2, 3. I don't even remember flying through the fucking air. Just like, how the fuck did I get here? That was scary as shit. I don't know if I said this, but apparently the soul was trying to kill me again. Because the mission... like, we all have our own missions, I believe. But I'm on my own, like, mission here in this life. And even though I'm very different to my past life, there's also similarities, including what I'm, like, trying to do. And it was trying to stop me again. It almost succeeded more than once. But thankfully I was protected by God. Some other things that happened were like, it was telling me to stuff myself with food and water for my soul. You know, my soul, like, it was saying all this stuff was, like, draining, and I was, like, ascending, and thought I was talking to God. At one point I also thought I was talking to, like, the god of Uranus, the planet, and another was my soul, and it was all this one soul with these different voices. Like, my soul was my own voice. Uranus was this evil, demonic male voice coming out of me, and God, because I related more to the feminine, actually sounded like a woman to my ears. Not sure how that happened, because I can't sound like a woman anymore. At least not on purpose, but apparently I can when I'm possessed. But the soul also said that it's just because I kept going with, like, goddess, and this is 2025, for whenever you're watching this. This is September 4th, 9 p.m., 2025 that I'm filming this. Remember I said I moved in this house in 2021. Like, the soul knew everything about me. Because the soul was already here. It just had to wait until I could be possessed, I guess, with all the mental health issues and the cannabis and... I think I'm forgetting something. But apparently there were, like, conditions to be possessed or something. The mental health issues have to do with it. But that's not all. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something. So anyway, I was stuffing myself with food and water, because apparently if I didn't, I was going to die, but I have a lot of, like I said, medical issues, including severe stomach problems. So it was severely painful for me to be doing this. And I didn't need to do that. Not that I don't need to drink more, because my medical issues do make me dehydrated, but not like that. It was like, please, I can't take any more. And it's like, you're going to die, you're going to die! There were severely bad headaches. I couldn't sleep. Oh, that was the other condition. It made sure I couldn't fucking sleep for a while. I had a severe lack of sleep. The cannabis, the mental health issues, and remember, cannabis is not evil. That's just in there because it's complicated or something. The cannabis, the lack of sleep, and the mental health issues. It was like a perfect storm. So once I was, like, so sleep deprived, I'm not sure how I'm alive. It was able to possess me, or possibly before. No, I'm pretty sure that sleep deprivation had something to do with it. Or maybe it caused the sleep deprivation. I think it caused the sleep deprivation. You know, I also got really bad headaches. Then there was loud E sounds, like super, super, super loud, that I thought were from God, when God supposedly got very, very angry for whatever reasons I can't remember now. It was not God, it was the soul. Physical sensations, like, with my heart and stomach, like, it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like, and it was supposed to be, like, a good thing. No, I don't know what it was doing. But it was intense, and definitely, it was very real. I hallucinated, which means I don't always know what was real and what wasn't. I hallucinated weather, apparently. Actual rain. Thought I caused an earthquake. Don't know how. Thought I caused... It also told me there was over 500 multiverses. Which I don't think that's how God describes it. Apparently, it's just all one huge universe, but there are apparently reasons why people think there are multiverses, and I don't understand them. Whoever told me there were over 500 universes, and that there were, you know, intelligent species. That's not how I would put it, because I don't consider animals unintelligent or dumb. But like humanoid species in all the universes, and at one point I had to give God emotions because God was wondering why everything was all screwed up. And I had to like give God emotions because it's like, how do you know what love is if you don't have emotions? And then God gave herself emotions. Because again, God sounded like a woman. But so God gave herself emotions, and then promptly got pissed off and killed about half the multiverses. And I felt responsible for killing half the multiverses, including some people I absolutely love who are still very much thankfully alive. So obviously that didn't happen. And then recently I got scared somebody died that I thought I was spotted before. No, they're still alive. It was like recently from the, not recently, but I thought they would die, but then, I don't even want to say that because of legal reasons. But they're still alive. I did not kill anybody. Unintentionally, indirectly, or what. Because technically it would have been God that killed everybody, but I felt responsible because I gave God emotions, because it's like, but at the same time we were like, but how the hell are we going to, or how the fuck are we going to get anything fixed without love? So it was like a catch-22. It was, yeah, I know I sound nuts because I was nuts. I was possessed. There were voices in my head, despite the fact I have complete aphantasia. The fact my brain is quiet again is such a blessing. Oh my lord. Oh my lord, it is such a blessing. How do people without aphantasia deal with the voices in their head? Even when they're not, from possession. How? Maybe it was just so intense because it was in, possession and not normal. But normally my head is completely quiet. I do not have mental... I can think in silent words. And that's apparently how we were... It could hear my thoughts. Or see my thoughts and everything somehow. It was really freaky. It could not understand all my thoughts. Ooh, that's something I didn't even remember to write down. If I spoke in silent words in my head, it seemed to understand me perfectly. If, however, I was thinking in, abstract thoughts or images, which, like I said, I don't actually have images in my head, but I can, I guess it's spatial something, and I can, it's really hard to describe. I've tried to describe it before. But the point is, my brain works just fine. But apparently, if I was thinking in any way other than silent words, it didn't really understand what I was trying to say. And it told me as such. So then I would put every freaking thought into words until it eventually said it had figured it out, and it had figured out my brain pretty well, and somehow I taught the soul how to understand my thoughts. If you ever think you're possessed, don't explain any thoughts that aren't in silent words to the soul. Don't do that. Don't do it. At one point, there was a Ouija board, because I did have a Ouija board for, I don't know when I got the Ouija board. I'd used it before, nothing ever happened. One time, I think, at the time I thought something happened, but I thought I was talking to somebody specific, and I'm pretty sure I just moved the planchette myself. I've been told, by God, that, Ouija boards aren't evil. You just have to know what the fuck you're doing. They're not evil or anything, and part of it, no, please do know what the fuck you're doing. But, it turns out, I ran down, at one, oh, I don't want to admit this part. The soul that was possessing me was, making me masturbate to the point that I wanted to stop and I couldn't because I was trying to go the fuck to bed. And I don't know where the word Ouija board came from in my head, but I said out loud on my bed something to the effects of, "Will you quit it? I'm trying to go to bed." That's not the exact words. I can't remember the exact words, but I said them out loud at any rate. And then the words Ouija board screamed in my head. Oh, it must have been the soul. It was the soul. Because it didn't work. What didn't work is I ran down the fucking stairs. It was making me think it worked. Ran down the fucking stairs, grabbed the Ouija board with a lighter, ran outside, tried to burn it. That didn't work quick enough. So I literally stomped on it. Well, first, I'm saying stuff out of order. First, I went, like, goodbye. I literally opened it up. Like, did I summon something? That's what I said. The correct answer would have been no, but it said yes. And it went very quickly to the word yes. Like, I know damn well that was not me moving that planchette that time. I had a damn doubt in my mind that that was not me. So then, after I went to yes, I slammed it myself back down to the word goodbye and said goodbye. Apparently that's not how that works. Which is why, if you use a Ouija board, maybe don't, but also be very careful if you're going to anyway, please. Because apparently the goodbye did not work. And at some point, I don't know if it was immediately after or not, but I ran outside with it. I think it was immediately after. I ran outside with it, tried to destroy it. When the lighter didn't work, I stomped on it, like I said. And then not knowing what to do with it, and not wanting my mother to know I even had one, who may or may not see this video, but it's gone now. I don't think I'm ever getting another one. It's gone now. Well, it's not gone. I don't know. But what I did is I ran as fast as I could, which it felt like I thought the power of God was moving through me. It turns out, no, I was just fast walking because I was possessed. So I walked. I have limited mobility and a lot of, like, back pain and other medical issues, as I mentioned. And I had to go half a block to, like, throw it in the woods because I couldn't go any further. And I had to stop in the middle of it, like, it was going as fast as I could, and it felt like, and at one point I was like, I'm in so much pain, I need to stop it, I can't stop it, and eventually it had me sit on the ground, when I just, like, literally could not go anymore, for, like, a few seconds, or whatever it was, until I could get back up, and then finish going the half a fucking block, throw it in the woods, hopefully nobody finds it and restores it, I don't know if you can do that, and then ran back home. And that did not fix anything. At all. There was extreme twitching in my chair, which I don't know how to describe it, but what I mean is I'd be, like, leaning back because I would be so drained of energy. It was also draining me of energy, not to mention the fact I'm disabled, so I don't have much energy sometimes to begin with all my chronic health issues. But it was draining me of all my energy. And it would be, like, doing things that were supposed to be good, but apparently, like, if you're healthy, like super healthy, you don't have an issue. You just move around, and all the, I think some people might call it Kundalini energy, or all the God energy, or whatever, just flow through you. But my disabled ass, well, that doesn't work now, does it? So, I'd have to be, like, sitting here, and I'd be like, and it would get really intense, to the point that I hated the fact that I looked mentally disabled, or, you know, the R word, which, it's just all manners of fucked up, because obviously there's nothing wrong with being mentally disabled. I technically, with all my medical issues, all my mental health issues that I mentioned, you could probably call me medically or mentally disabled, but what I mean is, like, mentally challenged, and you know what I mean. And I'm not mentally challenged in that way. But I just could not stop thinking. And I could also put thoughts in your head. But that's not it. It was a whole bunch of, like I said, the voices in my head. And so with all that, it was making me look like the R word for mentally challenged. And like it was freaking laughing at me. Now I realize it was probably laughing at me. Then I thought it was just because God was trying to move through me and I'm too fucking disabled because, you know, there's evil in the world and blah blah blah. It was a whole large nutty thing. Words are escaping me at the moment. There were also weird computer glitches, not just glitches, but like at one point they did have me deleting videos, deleting posts left and right, like on my Substack. So if you've seen stuff go up and down, yeah, that's why. I also deleted my second channel because of it, the Spiritual Crippled Tranny. So that's also kind of why you're getting all of me on one channel, and because I'd saved the videos at least. Why I ended up posting the videos that I had there on here, and now I'm just here, which quite frankly I'm actually happy with, because one channel is less work, but also really wish it hadn't happened that way. Maybe I could have figured it out, because I'm pretty sure I lost some links to stuff, and like, oops, but at least I still got the videos. But anyway. Oops. So there was also scheduling videos. Like, I uploaded a video and it scheduled itself to a different time. I'm not shitting you. Because I wanted a specific time. Because of, like, I'm also very into astrology, which is real, but also, it's astrology, it's complicated. But, there was miscommunications with people, like, over the telephone as well as real life. And also, with the whole mom thing, it messed with my mom when needed. There were times when I was racing to find my mom and I couldn't, because she'd be somewhere I wasn't expecting. And there were times when, there's also a door. I don't remember where this was in the middle of it, but one time I had been in the bathroom, then I went up the downstairs bathroom, and I went upstairs, and when I came back down or whatever, my mom, I may be remembering some of this wrong, I'm not sure, but when my mom tried to go to the bathroom, the door was locked and shut. I did not shut the door, let alone lock it. So I did, pretend I shut the door and that it accidentally locked itself. It's like, well, it seems okay now. And there were things like that where my mom would seem like what I said was really, really dumb, because I couldn't think of a good excuse. Like, the door's okay now. It was just shut and locked. What do you mean it's okay now? It just, like, blew it off. So yeah, that frankly pisses me off even more. That it fucked with my mom than that it fucked with me. To keep her away from me. Until there was also a time when, I don't know if it was trying to get me into the loony bin or what. Because my ass would be dead. I should not have said loony bin. Mental asylum. My ass would be dead in one of those places, which I'm pretty sure still exists today. With all my medical issues, my ass would be dead. I am positive of it. If not dead, I would want to be dead. So close enough. But anyway, it had me wake up my mom in the middle of the night because I thought she was, like, everybody was dying from, like, draining vitamin C, and then another time was water. So it was like, you have to have some orange juice, you have to have some water. This was 2 different times, I think, at the same damn night. And I was like, I'm not supposed to pick up my cats, and I picked up one of the heaviest cats and dragged her downstairs and spilled treats all over the floor, because apparently she was going to die without food and water. And I was like, at one time, it was like, I said water, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? She's not going to the water bowl. I don't want to, she's already been traumatized and abused when she was a kid, and I don't want to just push her freaking head in the water bowl. So, apparently because I wasn't going to do that, they told me to just put treats all over the floor, and that there was enough water in the treats. At one point they told me one of my cats was dead, but then it wasn't, and it said it got confused and it couldn't see. None of it makes any sense. So, that's almost 30 minutes of talking about the possession, and that's not even the end of it. Because I thought it ended on, like, August 6th, or 7th, technically. Because on August 6th, I was trying desperately to go to sleep. So desperately, and I couldn't. Mind you, August 13th was my surgery. At one point, when it had been delayed, they said, like, a minimum of 3 days, but I was supposed to stop 2 weeks before the surgery. August 6th is not 2 weeks before August 13th. I had every intention of stopping cannabis and tried. I think I stopped it for a few days. I think it let me. I'm not entirely sure because, like I said, amnesia and it's all confusing and jumbled. I had every intention. But August 6th, I could not sleep. I'm like, this is too close. But I was like, I had bought a couple months ago, whatever, a whole bunch of edibles for after the surgery. And I was downing indica after indica after indica edible, trying to get some sleep. And after, I think, a couple bags, possibly more than 20 edibles, and I was still not asleep, I was terrified out of my fucking mind. And I felt this force, which apparently was my own force, against the soul. Is what I've been told by God, because I thought it was God saving my ass, because what it did ultimately led to me saving my ass. But it was like, no, I saved myself. How, I'm not entirely sure, other than I was terrified I was going to die. So I literally forced myself out of the bed, feeling like the force of God was moving me, but turns out it was me moving me against the soul's will, trying to force me back into the fucking bed. So I went downstairs where my mom was, because it was the middle of the day at this point, and I told my mom I need to go to the ER. I think I also said some other crazy shit, but I said I needed to go to the ER and I could not call myself. I guess something me knew that apparently I could force myself to walk down and tell my mom to call the ER, but I could not even think. I don't even know where my phone was at that point. It was still upstairs. And I didn't think I could call 911. But anyway, my mom called 911. The ER came. I was the police, the ER, whatever. And I remember being so scared that they were going to put me into an insane asylum or something. And I kept trying to explain, it's like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm just scared. And then I remember being in the thing, getting buckled in. I'm like, this is very painful because I have scoliosis, but you have to be buckled in. And I don't remember most of the ride there, but I do remember a little bit where I'm going off, like, on a rant about being disabled and trans, because I'm worried to death I'm going to die because I'm disabled, and they're not going to take care of my medical issues somehow, and worried to death about, transphobia and whatever. And but like I said, that's all I remember. And then writing down, I might have been hallucinating this. Writing down what I was on a little notepad that looked, one dude writing what I was saying on a little notepad. I was like, write that down. I was like writing it down in on a notepad with like other things, and it made no sense. And then the next thing I know, do I remember getting to the hospital? No. Do I remember getting out of the ER? No. Do I remember getting into the hospital? No. The next thing I remember, I'm in the bed. I had an IV. Don't know what was going through it. Apparently I did sleep. So I guess they put me to sleep somehow. Because I needed sleep. Because that was the problem, I could not sleep. To the point of terror. And hallucinating. But that's not why I was hallucinating. When you're possessed, God will not make you hallucinate. Souls possessing you will. And, so anyway, for August 6th, I was in the ER. Don't remember most of it. But, talking to God since then. Apparently, I was asleep, but for most of it, I guess. And I'm not going to put more details in here, because I do have to know a few more details. But apparently somebody was, like, taking advantage of me, because they even had me take off my underwear, and I'm like, why do I have to take off my underwear? I just need sleep. But I had to take off all my clothes initially and get into a gown. Don't know why I had to take off my underwear. And so yeah, I remember having to take everything off and then getting down into the bed. And then I'm asleep. But apparently somebody had taken advantage of me, like looking at me down there and everything. I don't think anything else happened. Now I've had a hysterectomy, so if something horrible happened, that would be horrible, but at least I can't get pregnant anymore. And, I don't think it went too far, but Next thing I know, I'm... Oh, and I'd also grabbed my stuffed animal. I sleep with a stuffed animal, Alvin, from Build-A-Bear, I think, Alvin the Chipmunk. Partly because it helps actually to hold something in my back pain, but also it's comforting. So, like, I've been really embarrassed about that. Which now through all this, I'm saying, fuck it, I'm not embarrassed anymore. That's a small silver lining. The fact that I know God is real is a huge silver lining. But, I ended up taking that with me to the hospital, embarrassing the hell out of me. That was probably the soul, because I didn't need to take that to the hospital. But they gave me everything back. But the whole time I'm thinking, the doctors are trying to kill me, 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 the doctors are trying to kill me. Now I can realize they're doctors. If they wanted to kill me, they would have just done it. I even said as much at one point, and nobody really acted very much, which is weird. And so I remember, like, it felt like forever when I woke up, and well, I don't know if woke up is the right word, but trying to get out of the hospital, tried to wait for my mom to come get me. I thought that they were all lying and trying to kill me and that I was never getting out. Eventually my mom came and I got out, and I don't think anybody was trying to kill me now. And, so I get home, and on the way home I'm still getting these, like, voices in my head that whatever happened to the hospital did not fully fix it. I thought it was fully fixed the next day. Apparently not. But what happened is I went home. After a little bit I went to sleep. I managed to get some good sleep. I woke up, everything was quiet. My head was quiet. Felt normal again. It was awesome. So I have surgery, and I'm thinking, it's like, okay, hopefully that wasn't too much cannabis, because I've been trying to get this, I've needed this surgery for years. It's already been delayed multiple times. I am anxious as fuck for the surgery. I just want it over with, and I've been anxious as fuck for the surgery for who knows how fucking long. I want this over with, please. It was like 6 days, and the minimum was like 3, but it was a lot of cannabis. I'm like, please, 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 just be okay. Obviously, I'm still here. Like I said, it's September 4th. Yeah, obviously, I'm okay. I am still recovering from the surgery, because it was like literally 4 teams working on me at once. It was actually like 4 surgeries in once. Because the hernia repair, the colostomy revision, the hysterectomy, and something about stents. I think to keep up the prolapsed vagina. But, so there was like 4 doctors working on me. I was in the hospital until August 27th, which is like 2 weeks and a day. Which is almost my record, because apparently I was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks as a baby. But I don't remember that. My second record that I remembered until this one was a week. So anyway, in the hospital, after surgery, wake up, it's very painful, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I think I just realized something. It was telling me that the nurses all had a bunch of issues with me. Like, this one has issues with me because I'm white. This one has issues with me because I'm trans. This one has issues with me because I'm trans in the wrong direction. This one has issues with me because I'm disabled. That they're all hating me and they're poking me because they're trying to frickin', like, just torture me because my veins are small and all this sort of shit. But I was also praying. And I can't, there's actually something that I have to omit because it sounds absolutely nutso. But I was able to thankfully, like, pray and talk to God, because even though, like I said, I'm pagan, I do believe in this one God who made everything, and including, like, or maybe, like, we're all one, and then there's the other gods, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm not Christian, I'm spiritual. I have nothing against Christians as long as you're a good person. Like I said before, it's just very confusing. But I already did believe in a higher power. That's the important part. So I was praying. And And at one point they said Enterobacter, a bacterial infection, which is apparently very lethal. Which apparently the thing God told me the soul actually put in me, but that, regardless, or maybe it was, some of this might be a little off. But anyway, I got the bacterial infection is why I had to stay in the hospital for so long. In addition to, just my body, but the bacteria. Because at one point I was going from shivering violently to sweating violently, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I had a fever of over 100 degrees. I forget what it was exactly. I think it was over 101. And my normal temperature is like 97 point something. But they filled me with antibiotics, and they sent me home with antibiotics, which I have actually just finished this morning. And I had to actually talk to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and one of them there was two people, so there was three, about and I actually talked everything out, and I felt so much better. I did end up getting Valium when I was at the hospital, which also helped. I haven't been to my primary physician. I'm not getting Valium now at home or anything. They gave it to me in the hospital, which really did help a lot. But I was still sometimes having auditory hallucinations, thinking there were doctors surrounding me, because part of the CPTSD I mentioned is my medical trauma, where I was born disabled, and have had all manner of shit happen to me medically since I was born, including being a kid and being poked and prodded everywhere, including down there by doctors, and being surrounded by doctors and nurses and people learning, treating little me like a science experiment in my most private areas. If you think that's not traumatizing, get your head out of your ass. Because I've heard so many people that, they don't seem to believe medical trauma is a thing. They don't even think of it. It's fucking real. If you're a child being treated that way, you're going to be traumatized. And it used it against me. But only this time, now that I was in the hospital, and A, getting Valium as needed, and B, praying out of my ass, I think. At some points I was praying. But I also had people praying for me. And as well as sending good vibes and energy. Whatever the hell they believed in. Whatever the fuck they believed in. And I do believe all that helps. But because of that, it wasn't intense. And also it was probably... It tried to kill me with a bacterial infection, apparently. But with all the prayers, and me praying and believing in a higher power, and the Valium, which really helped my anxiety, and high anxiety, everything go worse. So it helped. There was I thought that I was hallucinating sounds like doctors surrounding the bed, when there was nobody there. But I would just open my eyes and there was nobody there. So then I could immediately be like, okay, that's fake. But that did not help me try to sleep. In the hospital, I hardly got any fucking sleep at all. They would just kept saying nobody really gets much sleep in the hospital, which I'm sure is true because those beds are absolute hell. I don't know how else to put that. I don't like that word anymore. But, so yeah. Apparently it was August 24th when I prayed to get the soul out of me. Apparently that was the trick that I had to do, and it took me that long to figure it out. So I prayed to get the soul out of me, and I swear I felt it get out of me. But that apparently wasn't the end of it. It was the end of the possession, though, thank God. Seriously, thank God. Because I was saying I do not consent to having this being possessed by the soul. But also because I thought God possessed me at the same time. I literally made an exception for God in the prayer. But it worked because because that soul was not God. And God does not possess people like that. So, the prayer worked. Like I said, I got out August 27th. Today is September 4th. I've been working on sleeping better. Because now I can have cannabis again, and that helps, and but now I'm not possessed anymore, and now that I know God is real, Anyway, just today, I thought, soul got out of me. But it's been feeling a little weird since I got home. I'm like, soul got out of me, I should be fine. I've been acting a little weird, but not too weird. Like, just some, like, twitches and stuff. I'm not entirely sure if that's just, like, residual. That probably is. But, turns out, the soul, while I was still protected from being possessed by it, the soul was still here in the house. So I literally prayed to, basically to free the soul. And it feels so much calmer in here now. I swear it does. I'm just terrified talking about all this because I know I'm going to sound like a Looney Tune. But yeah. That being thrown across the room, it should have killed me. The severe lack of sleep should have killed me. The bacterial infection, my possibly getting thrown into a loony bin or mental asylum. So many things. Several times I almost died. I know I did. But I didn't because of God. And this isn't even the first time. Because when I was born, I thought this was going to be a separate video, and I'm sure it is. But when I was born, my mom had lead poisoning when she was pregnant with me. She worked in a glass factory. She did not, obviously, she did want me. She didn't know about the lead. They tested their employees' lead levels like once a year, apparently. And somehow they could test me, even though she was only 2 or 3 months pregnant with me. I don't know how they do that. But they tested her and me, and our lead levels were very, very high. The doctors told her to quit working there, and she did. Because, again, she wanted me. But they also told her, I was born in '89, so ultrasounds were crap back then. They couldn't tell her a damn thing I was going to be born with, but they could say, all that lead poisoning, I was going to have a lot of medical issues. They knew that. I was born with a lot of medical issues. They actually expected me to be mentally challenged, which I'm not. Which I also believe is by the grace of God. For my life specifically, because all our lives are different. And obviously, like I said, I am very disabled. But regardless, when I came out, they checked me all over, because I knew I was going to have medical issues. But all that lead poisoning, there were miscarriages there. Somebody had apparently told my mom that her lead level was alone, and hers were lower than mine, and she was a grown adult, and I was, I don't know, fetus or an embryo, I don't know what the difference is. The point is I wasn't yet born. My lead levels were higher. And hers, somebody said she should have been a vegetable, if not dead. As soon as she quit working there, when she heard, she went to church and prayed, and she said she felt the lead drain out of her. I didn't used to believe her. I thought I just got really either lucky or unlucky, depending on how depressed I was that day. I don't believe that anymore. Prayer fucking works. I know God saved me both so I could be born in the first place and this year. And I don't think it matters what you believe in as long as you try to be a good person. And of course, we're all flawed. We all have our dark side, which, the shadow side, it's important to, try to integrate all that. That's the whole thing in the spiritual community. But the point is, we're all flawed, but we can all try to be good people. We all have evil in us, if you want to put it that way or not. Darkness, however you want to put it. But you can still have a good heart and be a good person. I don't think anything else really matters. I don't believe in a hell that God throws people into. My hell is metaphorical because I kind of believe metaphorically we're in hell right now. Just look around the earth. But that's metaphorical. So, and that's why I don't believe in demons, because the soul knew me in a past life, and it's a whole past life connection thing. I honestly don't think demons exist at all. I think it's stuck souls, or souls that are pissed off or upset for some reason that either get stuck or stay around. That's what I think it is. Though I suppose you could still call it demons if you want to, because frankly it threw me across the room painfully to where it should have broken all my fucking bones or something. It seems pretty demonic to me, really, even though I don't call it a demon. So yeah, that's a very long video. I think I got it all out as much as I can. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. And namaste.